planning. And finally, community. Strong communities through informed civic participation and respectful dialogue. This memorandum provides a summary of the process undertaken in relation to a recent motion concerning the Brantford Municipal Airport lands, including potential boundary adjustments involving the City of Brantford and the County of Brant. It outlines key procedural steps, identifies potential deviations from standard governance practices, and highlights areas of concern for consideration by Brant County Council here today. Under typical municipal governance, a board or committee directs municipal staff to undertake analysis. Staff prepare a formal report, including planning, financial, and legal implications. The board reviews the report and makes a recommendation to council. That matter proceeds to City Council for debate and decision. This process ensures decisions are informed by due diligence, transparency, and public accountability. What we've observed in this instance, under the airport motion, a straight motion was introduced directly to the airport board, lobbied before any Brant County consultation. This motion was voted, and I want to say this, without supporting staff or documented consultation. The motion referenced the potential boundary consultation, inclusions of adjacent lands, potentially with the County of Brant. The motion did not clearly define the scope of the boundary adjustments and the specific lands affected. Advanced to City Council. The motion was advanced directly to Brantford City Council for consideration and vote. Concerns were raised during the deliberations regarding deviation from standard governing practices, lack of supporting staff, analysis, and due diligence. Brantford City Council Richard Carpenter raised objections citing process concerns. Council decision and provincial escalation. Following council approval, the matter was advanced to the province of Ontario. There is no indication of a comprehensive staff report, a documented public consultation process, or a formal impact assessment that will coincide with the County of Brant residents and city residents. Timing and considerations. This process occurred in a period leading up to a municipal election. Stakeholders have raised concerns that the matter is being accelerated during a lame duck period. This timing may have limited fulsome council debate, restricted public engagement and transparency, and reduced opportunity for review by the newly elected council. Broader planning context. This motion references boundary expansion beyond airport lands. There may be an overlap with broader infrastructure initiatives, including the West Brant Access Road, formerly Oak Park Road Extension, that is currently sitting in a Stage 3 Environmental Assessment Act. The relationship between the airport lands proposal and infrastructure planning, whether a coordinated planning framework of cumulative impact analysis have been undertaken. Key issues for Brant City Council consideration. A formal resolution. Based on the noted, the following issues warrant staff review. Procedural fairness. Was the absence of a staff analysis and consultation prior to decision making is consistent with municipal government's standards. Transparency and disclosure. Whether the scope of this implication of motion were adequately disclosed. Public consultation requirements. Whether statutory or common law obligations for public engagement were satisfied, which has not been the case to date on the February 26 public consultation meeting for the proposed West Access Road. Timing and good governance. Whether advancing this matter during a pre-election period impacts procedural guidelines. BCAA's anticipated next steps. Independent review of the City of Brantford environmental assessment process upon completion for proposed West Access Road, and consideration of a Part 2 order request under the Environmental Assessment Act. Ongoing monitoring of provincial involvement and boundary adjustment considerations between Brantford Municipal Airport lands, including boundary adjustments involving the City of Brantford and most importantly here today, the County of Brant and their input. Conclusion. The available information suggests that the airport lands motion advance from a board level to council and subsequently to the province without the benefit of staff analysis, defined scope, or documented public consultation. This raises questions regarding procedural fairness, adequacy on due diligence, and transparency in municipal decision-making. BCA respectfully requests that the Brant County Council consider adopting a formal written resolution supported by a recorded vote to pause further progression of the initiatives at this time. Specifically, we encourage the council to consider deferring any substantive decisions until after the municipal election scheduled for October 2026. This would provide newly elected council and city councils with opportunity to fully engage with residents and stakeholders and to undertake a comprehensive and transparent review of the financial, environmental, and governance considerations associated with each project, including their cumulative impacts. BCA believes that taking this measured and collaborative approach will reinforce public confidence, which we do not have right now, support informed decision-making, and ensure meaningful community participation in matters of this significance. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Travis, and my compliments on your timing. I'm guessing you practiced that one a couple times. Thank you, and I'm going to open this up to questions from the committee in a second, but first, because you've asked a specific question, you provided a detailed summary, and there were a couple of questions, and one I'm focusing on in particular was a request that there be a pause of progress of initiatives on this subject. And I'm going to ask our CAO to provide some clarification on that process before we open up to questions amongst the committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, to the delegation and to committee. At this time, because this was a process that was initiated by the province, we don't have the power to pause it. We do have the power to not participate. However, that doesn't stop the process. So in other words, the process is going to continue whether we're at the table or we aren't, because it is a provincial process and we've been told that quite clearly. So we have taken the position thus far that being at the table and participating in the conversations is better than not being at the table. But to be clear, from what we've been told by the province, this is proceeding with or without us there.
Thank you, Allison. And we'll take the time now to open this up to our committee for questions to the delegation or to staff. We'll start with Councillor Miller.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. And through to Travis, that was a great presentation. I can't see anything in there that I don't agree with. I wanted to ask, because I think this has been mentioned a few times, municipalities are creatures of the province. We've been told this is what we have to do. So I want to ask, have you guys lobbied, approached our local MPP or any other minister in the government, and what was the outcome of that?
So thank you for the question. BCA is in the process of having communication dialogue through our legal representation, not only to the Minister of Environment, but also the Minister of Housing and the provincial facilitator appointee. So we are having correspondence legally on behalf of BCAA at this point in time. Our thoughts is the procedure in which the facilitator was appointed was not done in due diligence. And that is a major factor on why we are in this situation right now. Ultimately, there is some representation on the board itself. Mayor Bailey is on the board. There's another gentleman here, Daryl Casey, who sits on the board. Unfortunately, yesterday we actually tried to have some issues on the agenda that was rejected by Kevin Davis and Chair Mark Littell. So we feel procedurally that this provincial facilitator and how he was appointed was not done with due diligence.
And like I say, great presentation. Don't disagree with anything, but what's the next steps? Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that question. Are there any other questions from the committee? And I'm not seeing any, so I imagine that, Councillor Haley, go ahead.
Yes, through you. Thank you for your presentation, and I wondered if we could get a copy of it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Haley. Not seeing any other questions, I imagine that the committee would like to move to receive this for information and refer it to our team, staff team that's working on this. Looking at Councillor Coleman, who's moving that, and seconded by Councillor McAlpine. All those in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you very much, and thank you again, Travis, for your presentation.
Thank you very much.
We're going to move into our next delegation, which is Alexis and Lisa. Oh, sorry. I spoke out of turn. Pardon me. Thank you, Spencer, for clarifying. Our next delegation is 4.1, the original, Andrea. Andrea, come on down. Thank you very much. And again, you've got 10 minutes. Please start with your name and address for the record. And as I said before, there'll be a countdown clock over in the corner. Thank you.
Oops, sorry. Andrea Barris-Devanko, residing at 16 Forest Road, Brant. Good morning, Mayor Bailey, councillors, staff. Thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to speak with you this morning. My husband and I chose to build our lives in the Oak Hill community within the County of Brant over 20 years ago. And we are incredibly proud residents, property owners, and supporters of our Oak Hill community. Through an article in the Brantford Expositor, we learned of the intention by the City of Brantford to potentially annex the Brantford Municipal Airport and surrounding lands. This verbiage is of course quite concerning, as well as the lack of transparency with regards to surrounding lands and what they may encompass. We respectfully oppose any proposed annexation of Oak Hill by the City of Brantford for the purpose of acquiring lands associated with our local airport. An online petition that I started has achieved over 600 names in a very short time frame, objecting to Oak Hill becoming part of the City of Brantford. Oak Hill is so much more than a geographic area. It is a well-established, close-knit community with a distinct identity, history, and way of life. This proposed annexation threatens to disrupt the social fabric, property rights, and long-standing stability that residents have built and maintained for generations. Few of our key concerns. We value our rural character, our independence and sense of community. Forced annexation would fundamentally alter this identity without the consent of those that live there. Residents have not been adequately consulted in a transparent or inclusive manner. Decisions of this magnitude must involve genuine community engagement and top-down planning. Annexation also leads to changes in zoning, taxation, and land uses that could negatively impact our property values and impose financial burdens on homeowners. The need for additional airport land has not been clearly demonstrated in a way that justifies the disruption and potential long-term consequences for Oak Hill residents. Also, allowing this annexation sets a concerning precedent for continued encroachment on surrounding rural communities. We strongly urge decision makers to respect the wishes of Oak Hill residents, to halt any annexation efforts affecting this community, to explore alternative solutions that do not require the displacement or forced municipal restructuring, commit to transparent, community-first planning processes. The highest responsibility of municipal governance is to serve and protect its people. The residents of Oak Hill deserve to have their voices heard, their homes protected, and their community preserved. We call on the appropriate authorities to speak for us, to have our voices heard, to fight to keep us within the County of Brant, and to protect Oak Hill for current and future generations. Thank you so very much for your time. I have so much time left.
Thank you, Andrea. You've got 6 minutes left to give to somebody else. Thank you very much for that delegation. Do we have questions from the committee for Andrea? I'll start with Councillor Haley.
I just wanted to thank you for all the work you've done. I know I spoke to you, you contacted me a few weeks ago, and I think you had 450 signatures already, and now you have over 600.
Yes.
So,
Yes, I've never done anything like this before. I've never presented to a council. I have zero political background, so this was all a brand-new deep dive, just trying to save our community. We love where we live and we want to remain there.
Thank you for that, Andrea, and be careful, it becomes addictive.
Oh, no.
Over to Councillor Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to Andrea. Andrea, you've gone around, you've collected signatures. Is there many residents that want to be part of the city?
None.
None?
I've come across zero. I've come across more that had no idea that this was taking place. I have not come across anyone that has said this is a great idea. If anything, it's been the opposite. How do I get a copy of this? How do you share it? I'm not tech savvy. Can you help me with my phone? So it's been a really big, informative for our community. People did not know and they do not. And when I spoke to, Will Boma, who enlightened me on how lovely all of our amenities would be. We'd have sidewalks and sewers, and I said that I started talking those points with people, and none of us want them. We chose to live in the county. We chose to not have bus routes. We knew there were no sidewalks. We knew we were going to be on a septic when we moved out there, and we're fine with that. That's totally the rural life we've chosen.
Okay. I know you're a Brant County resident. Have you, do you have any intention of going to city council and letting them know what you've been working on?
Yes, this was my first toe in the pool, so I do plan on taking this to city council as well. And would like to, I have another letter at home that I would like to somehow, some way get in the hands of the provincial facilitator speaking for the residents. So I'm just learning how to go about doing all of these things.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your question.
Thank you. We have a couple more questions from committee. First will be John Bell.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to Andrea. Andrea, I can understand the emotional connection to your home. Many people would have that. I guess 600 at least have that emotional connection. Can you say more about what you think would be different if this went ahead and somehow or other Oak Hill got consumed by the city? What would be the practical implications that you would find uncomfortable?
I've actually lived this. My parents lived on Verratti. We were city of Brantford and county of Brant, and it became the city of Brantford. And we watched our services that were high-level county services be reduced. For example, plowing wasn't done as well, even though we're now on a bus route. Add to that, we were on a bus route. I don't want to be on a bus route. We have exceptional services provided by the county now with regards to plowing, garbage pickup, dump access. I would think that we would be subjected to having sidewalks implemented. Taxation would definitely be a difference. There's a significant difference between the city of Brantford and the county of Brant on their mill rates for tax purposes. So I would be concerned that life would be a lot more expensive with amenities that we don't necessarily consider necessary for life.
Sense approximately of how much you think your taxes would increase?
When I looked on the city of Brantford for 2024, my taxes would almost quadruple from where they are in the county. Call it 4,000 ballpark annually right now to around 12,864.
Quadruple. That's more than I had imagined.
It's right in line when you look at what I have friends that live in the west end of Brantford that are paying $8,000 and $10,000 for 35-foot frontage, and we have 100 feet frontage.
Okay, we have presented tables in our taxation page on our website, which compares taxes for comparable properties across a range of municipalities. Indeed, the city of Brantford is, at least according to our analysis, 28% more expensive, 400 times more expensive. Is a bit new to me, but thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bell. Over to Councillor Coleman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and more of a comment to Andrea. I appreciate you coming forward today. And I appreciate you mentioning the MPP after you and I talked here a few weeks ago about it, and all his comments that he made. So well done. You've done a good job. Keep up the good work. Elections this fall, so put your name in.
Thank you very much for your comment.
Thank you for that, Councillor Coleman. And if there's another question with Councillor Chambers.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, for the benefit of the delegation, I'm just wondering if our CAO can elaborate a little bit. The information that was provided to us from the facilitator that was able to be released identified and used the term, which is kind of vague in many respects, and that's the airport lands. I'm just wondering if that has been fleshed out in terms of what we can and cannot consider airport lands.
All right, we'll ask the CAO how much she can speak about that at this point.
Through the chair to committee and the delegation. So it has, I'll start by saying that nothing has been conceded to yet in the negotiations that have happened. There have been varying scenarios put forward, but there's been nothing concrete. We have pushed for further public consultation. It's been a concern of ours, as it is to many community members. And they've agreed, they as in the facilitator and City of Brantford, to proceed with public consultation in May. And at that time, the hope would be that there would be some notion of what we're talking about in terms of where the boundary would lie. But right now, there's been various scenarios put forward, none of which have been conceded to by the county at this time.
Thank you for that, Allison. I think the mayor has a question.
Yeah, through the chair to the delegation. First of all, thank you for coming today. And as the mayor and head of council, I'm very proud that you people have considered your community and are happy with your community. We don't like when things like this happen, obviously. And it is nice to know that people still want to live in the county and they have their reasons for wanting to. So know that you're preaching to the choir here. And good luck on your journey beyond today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor Bailey. And seeing no other questions, would the committee like to do the same as we did with the other delegation? That is, refer this to receive it as information and refer it to our staff team. I see the mayor moving that, seconded by Councillor Kyle. Thank you, and thank you, Andrea, for coming forward and a great presentation. We hope your first step into political activism was a comfortable one. And we'll say thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your time today. Tremendously appreciated. Thank you.
We need to call the vote. Yeah, sorry, we need to call the vote on that motion. All those in favor? Unanimously passed. Thank you very much. Now we will move on to Alexis and Lisa to come up as our third and final delegation for today. Welcome. If you can give your names and addresses for the clerk.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Alexis Carasturi. My address is 184 5th Concession Road in Burford. Thanks for having our issue heard. I recently purchased a farm on the 5th Concession at 184 about 15 months ago. I was surprised that the road was not paved. It seems like our road has the only concession that hasn't been paved. There's constant dust in the 3 seasons that blows over into the farm. Since I'm the new farm owner, I'm going to have Lisa Lane speak for the rest of the time, as she's been on the road for 60 years with the same problem. Thank you.
Good morning, Mayor and councilors. My name is Lisa Lane and I live at 182 5th Concession Road. I am here today to advocate on behalf of my neighbors and I to hard surface the 5th Concession Road West in Burford in the county of Brant. My family have resided on this road since 1962. My parents have long brought attention to this road to the roads department for well over 45 years when it was formerly Burford Township. We are at the end of our patience calling, emailing, and speaking directly to the roads department management and informing them of our concerns and our frustrations, and all we get is the runaround and ludicrous responses. The roads in my area have been hard surfaced, some for over 40 years. From the second concession, purposely skipping the fifth concession, right down to the 12th concession. The 12th concession has not one house on it. Our road is a high-traffic road with tobacco farm tractors, vans of workers, tobacco wagons going from farm to farm, to other concessions, a sod operation with transport trucks up and down all day, heading to Middletown Line Road to the 403, a ginseng operation with tractors, sprayers, trucks of workers going from one farm to another on the 5th and White Road, and the Grand River Conservation Area tree nursery with trucks heading to the 403. The 5th concession is a wreck, driving through mud and potholes all year long. This road is ruining our vehicles with rock chips, dirt swirling the paint and glass, endless car washes, the odd cracked windshield, and costly maintenance from crashing through the potholes. The road has also lowers our property values. Every road east, west, north, south have now been hard surfaced. And just last year, to aggravate things further, the roads department hard surfaced the east quarter town line, which crosses over the 5th, with only 2 houses on 1 mile of it and 4 houses on the remaining mile. There is no traffic or business or farms on this road. We pay taxes that go up every year, and what are we getting? Nothing. Garbage pickup once a week, 1 spray of dust control a year, which is graded off in a month due to all the traffic that causes the potholes. We expect the same enjoyment as everyone else in the area, a hard surface road. I have a letter sent to my father, Don Lane, from the roads operation manager, dated February 2006, stating the road had an average daily traffic of 150 cars a day to Middletown Line, and placed the 5th in a higher position for hard surface priority. That was 20 years ago, and we are still waiting. This count was long before the sod and ginseng operations were here. My neighbors and I all signed a petition last fall to hard surface the 5th, and was brought to council by our Ward 4 councillor, David Miller. Please hear the concerns and frustrations I have conveyed to you today. It's time, and long overdue, 64 years later, that our road be hard surfaced. We look forward to a positive outcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alexis and Lisa. Do we have any questions from the committee for the delegation? Start with the mayor.
Through the chair to the delegation. First of all, we hear your frustration, that's for sure. We have a list of roads at expected times when roads get finished. Can I call on staff? Does anyone have that in front of them? The list of roads and dates, Dave?
Looks like we're gonna have the GM of operations respond.
So through the chair to committee and the delegation, so 5th Concession Road, there's a 2-phase plan. So I'll just speak to the AADTs. So we measure AADTs periodically, which is the annual average daily traffic. So the last measurement in 2024, it was at 150, 2021, 5th concession, 150, 2016, 100, 2015, 100, 2012, 150. Our threshold for where the economics make sense and where the maintenance of a road costs less when you're hard surfaced versus gravel is right at 150. So we have a 2-phase plan, and a lot of the higher priority roads throughout the county, such as Kitchen School Road, which is being hard surfaced this year, is at 190. 9th Concession Road is at 300. So we have a 2-phase plan. There is a short section of 5th Concession Road. We're coming to the end of phase 1 that will be hard surfaced. The rest is included within phase 2. So I can't give a timeline of exactly when that might happen, but I would say within the next 4 to 5 years, 5th Concession Road would be either warranted for hard surface because of traffic increases, or it's time in the plan for us to complete those works.
Thank you, Dave, for that. Do we have other questions? Dave, Councillor Miller?
Just one comment to the general manager's comments. The ADT, the average daily count, traffic count, it's a little bit like a chicken and egg kind of thing, because if you don't hard surface it, you're gonna have a low daily traffic count because people avoid that road. And so I know it can be a little bit misleading. I'm sure if it was hard surface, the traffic count would be well over 200, but, to the delegations, and I gotta say this, Alexa, but I have the strong desire to ask you for piano lessons. So, but, I think, you understand that. I just want to say I'm grateful you guys came in, because Councillor Chambers and I hear quite frequently, about gravel roads. And Lisa, to your point, there's a lot of gravel roads that still need to be done throughout the county. Just be aware of that. I know when you live on one, you don't care what's happening with all the other ones. It's yours. So, but there are a lot that still need to be done, should be done. We know it's a good investment. They obviously cost a lot less to maintain once they're done. We don't have to put the calcium on it. We don't have to add extra gravel. We don't have to grade them and all that stuff. But I wanted to ask you, Lisa, because, you said you've been on that road for 60 years. I think your dad's been on it a little bit longer than that. When, but something interesting about what your dad said the one time, Don, he said, he was told one time that the road would be hard surface. Do you remember when that was?
Yes, it was last year.
But there was a time about 15, 20 years ago.
Oh, in 2006.
Okay, so that was 20 years ago. He was
Yes,
told
I have the letter from the
Yeah.
county here.
that it will be hard surface. Okay, so it's been a long time. I know here at council, we are pushing for the funding to continue, so I'm glad the general manager said what he did say. And yeah, as a council.
They want to pave the end of the road where the traffic isn't on the 5th,
Mhm.
from Maple to White.
Yeah.
From what I gather. The sod farm is in that area, but the sod farms and all the farms are coming our way.
Yep.
To the west.
Okay. I
They're
understand.
not in that area that they want to pave in the first phase.
Yeah.
So that's what is frustrating, that
Okay. But like I said, I'm glad you came and everybody could hear, not just Councillor Chambers and myself. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Miller. I see Councillor Chambers has a question.
Just perhaps the question will be formed and the general manager may wish to comment on what I'm going to say. So my question is to the general manager and perhaps through you to the delegation. Several years ago, Councillor Coleman will recall this. Councillor Coleman put a resolution forward that we spend an additional $1 million on gravel to hard surfacing roads, and we did that. And that boosted the budget for the gravel to hard surfacing roads. At or around the same time, we established a committee. We called it the Ad Hoc Committee on Gravel to Hard Surfacing Roads, and Councillor Coleman may remember that. And we did an analysis of all of the gravel roads at the time. And the general manager referred to daily traffic counts as one of the parameters that is used to hard surface roads. At that time, we looked at other things such as the number of properties per kilometer. And just looking at the 5th concession, that is one of the higher properties per kilometer. Mm-hmm. We looked at the tax assessment on the roads, and the 5th concession is actually one of the higher ones in that area as well. We looked at tax revenue per kilometer. We looked at annualized cost of hard service, which is a calculation that was used to help prioritize the roads that were slated to be resurfaced. And at that time, we came up with a program, hopefully within 10 years, that the majority, if not all of the roads in the county of Brant would be hard surfaced in one way or another. And I think, I suppose anecdotally, and my observations are that we have fallen behind in that prediction of having the roads surfaced by 10 years, which was, this report was in 2018, so we got 4 years to go, but we've got a lot of roads to hard surface. So I'm wondering if the general manager will comment on the status of the gravel roads in the county according to our plan that we have to service them within 10 years going back, and whether we need to prioritize and reprioritize the amount of funds we put into gravel to hard servicing, because I don't know that Councilor Coleman will agree with me on this, but we may need another $1 million on top of what we already have put in because the costs are not going down, they're going up, and the roads are still, many of them are still gravel rather than hard surface. Is that enough for you to comment on?
Sure, I'll try my best. Through the chair to Councillor Chambers. As far as the status of it, so the low volume road contract's being awarded later in the meeting, so I'll do some math and figure out exactly where we're at for the plan, because I don't have that information in front of me right now. But what I will say to the point of, you know, whether it's gravel roads in general, requiring more funding, one thing that council did do this year was approve the asset management, I'm trying to think of the word for it here, the funding amount to start bridging that gap for all of our assets in the county. So eventually, over time, you know, those investments will increase. And we did have the chat internally that, you know, to your points about number of properties, tax assessment, type of traffic. So, you know, the remainder of the 5th concession road will be at the beginning of phase 1. So it will all be done continuously. The entirety of 5th concession road, it will be the beginning of phase 1, or phase 2, sorry, my apologies.
Thank you for that, Dave, and thank you for the question, Councillor Chambers, and someday I want a tour of your archives. Mayor Bailey. Mayor Bailey.
Yeah, again, through the chair to the delegation, how many kilometers or miles would that piece of 5 West be? Is it?
Well, from Maple Ave to Middletown Line Road is approximately maybe 2 miles. So it would have been the same distance doing the quarter town line where there's no houses, maybe 5 houses. And if they done the 5th concession from Maple right down, there's like 18 houses.
Yeah. And moving back to what Councillor Miller said too, I remember in St. George when we hard surfaced Cheese Factory Road from St. George to Cambridge to Galt, Myers Side Road, nobody ever used Cheese Factory Road when it was windy and gravelly and dangerous. You'd fall right off the edge and never be seen again. The only thing more dangerous was the Beverly Swamps out by the conservation area. And now it's been done for quite a while now. We've done it and everybody uses it. So to Councillor Miller's point, I don't think your traffic studies are very viable, because I would think before we hard surfaced Cheese Factory Road, nobody wanted to go down it because it was very dangerous. And now that you do it, I mean, people get groceries in Galt now, Cambridge, and you go there for anything because it's quicker than coming into Brantford. So the cars that use Cheese Factory Road now would be 4, 5, 6 times more than they were before they were gravel, and nothing changed as far as houses on the road. So I think we should go back and investigate that formula, because I'm not sure that it holds a lot of validity. So just a comment.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If there are no other questions, how would the committee like to respond to this delegation? Moved to receive by Councillor Coleman, seconded by Councillor Miller. Are there any further questions before we vote? Okay, all those in favor? Unanimous. Thank you very much, and thank you for coming in.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. That ends our delegations. We're moving on to item 5 on the agenda, which is the adoption of minutes from previous meetings. Are there any errors or corrections that we need to be aware of? Seeing none, we have the mayor has moved that we receive and accept these minutes. Seconder is Councillor Bell. Questions? None. All those in favor? Unanimous. Thank you very much. Item 6, is there any business arising from the minutes? Seeing none, we will move on to consent items. We have several consent items to be reviewed and approved today. Are there any that need to be pulled by members of the committee? Counselor Bell.
Yes, Mr. Chair, 712, 713, 7110.
Okay, and Counselor Miller.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, the last item, 7.1.12.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last part of what you said.
7.1.12.
Okay, so. Oh, Counselor, thank you. Spencer.
Yeah, 7.15, and just a moment here.
Okay, so we're pulling those, but the rest we can go ahead and proceed. Motion to approve the remaining from the mayor, seconded by Councillor Kyle. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? That's carried. We'll start with 7.1.2. And who had a question? Councillor Bell, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Question to staff. This week I saw a Facebook post that indicated that the percentage rate for farmland had increased. That is news to me, and I would appreciate if staff could confirm that the percentage for farmland relative to our residential baseline is unchanged, and it's at 24%.
Thank you for the question, Councillor Bell. We've got staff coming up to the podium to provide an answer.
Good morning. Through the chair to Councillor Bell, that's correct. It's remained unchanged for quite some time now.
And I think it's been unchanged for a long time.
Yeah, I believe it's 2019.
Yeah, thank you. Second question, the special levy is for the hospital reserve fund, or whatever we choose to call it. I see that we're actually showing it as 2%, even though that last year we just added 1%. I think it's the right way to show it, that we're showing our residents that each year that number is increasing. So this year it reflects 2% of the total tax rate. Is that correct?
I'll let Heather Boyd speak to that one.
Through the chair, yes. So we've planned to increase 1%, but because we did a special levy 1% last year, we need to still show that as a special separate levy. So every time we add on to it, the special levy is going to increase.
Good, thank you. I think it's better shown that way. Final question, the education levy, is that unchanged this year?
Through the chair to Councillor Bell, that's correct, unchanged.
Thank you.
Thank you for those questions, Councillor Bell. And Councillor Chambers had a follow-up question on the same one.
And it's with regard to the special levy tax rate. That is for the hospital special levy, if I understand it correctly.
Through the chair to Councillor Chambers, that's correct.
And just further to that, many, many years ago, the education tax was applied across the assessment schedules, and the farm community lobbied the provincial government for relief from that, recognizing that a lot of farm land does not use municipal servicing. And there was, to this day, there is a break on farmland for the assessment. Used to be a rebate, but and I'm wondering, with regard to a hospital tax, if that doesn't fall under the same category. Farmland is not going to use the hospital. Residential properties, the people will be. So I'm wondering if staff can have a look at the impact on removing the special tax levy for farmland, or at least an adjustment, because using the same philosophy as the education tax, it is unfair for large agricultural properties that have large tax assessment on farmland to be paying the same as a residence, which are the ones using the hospital. So if you understand what I'm saying, I think probably the special tax levy is unfair, such as the education tax was unfair to agricultural properties years ago, and that was rectified. I'll leave that with staff, and perhaps they can come back with an explanation of why we shouldn't do that or why we should do that.
Thank you, Councillor Chambers. I'm sure staff have heard your comments. Do we have any other questions with respect to 7.12? No? Go ahead, Councillor Haley.
Thank you. Through you. I wanted to just ask, I don't see the institutional rate here. Is there an institutional rate?
Through the chair to Councillor Haley, no, there's not.
Oh. Okay. And then I wanted to know what industrial small scale on farm, what's an example of that? Thanks.
Through the chair to Councillor Haley, an example of that would be like a small brewery as part of a farm.
Thank you to staff for the answers. And if, just a question for the clerk, do we do these one at a time, the approvals after? Okay, so questions have been satisfied and comments heard on that one. Motion to proceed or approve that one is Councillor Kyle, seconded by the mayor. Questions? None. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. Moving on to 7.13. Councillor Bell, that was a question of yours.
Yeah, sit to Heather Bailey. Yeah, she's coming. Morning, Heather. Heather, a number of folks have raised a question about the appropriateness of using debentures as a financial tool. And I wonder if you might explain, for the benefit of people listening to this meeting, why debentures are used and why they represent good financial management practice.
Through the chair to Councillor Bell. So the use of long-term debt funding is it's a common financing tool that's used by many municipalities, and it allows the timely completion of large capital infrastructure works, and also allows for the cost of that infrastructure work to be spread over time so that the future users of the resulting assets are the ones who are paying for the asset over its useful life.
Okay, thank you. The term debenture, many people would more readily recognise mortgage. Is that a fair assessment?
I guess it could be similar. It's a long-term loan.
Which you repay over time. Yeah.
You repay over time. So I suppose it's similar to a mortgage, but I would say long-term loan.
Okay, second question. You've given a list of, I think, 7 projects there. These have all been approved by council, and I would appreciate if you would send me, or send council rather, a note saying when these were approved and by which councils. I think it's important that we all recognise that this is the end of a process. It doesn't mark a decision. We're not approving these projects today. They're already approved. And at the time of approval, the funding mechanisms were also approved. Is that correct?
Through the chair. Because I had your question in advance, thank you very much for that. I did have the opportunity to see what years these were all approved. And they were approved, if you would like me to go down the list. So the Rest Acres Road Widening Phase 2 from Powerline Road to King Edward. That was approved over 3 years of capital budget, so 2018, 19, and 2020, with the bulk of the debenture funding amount being approved in 2019. The second project in the list, King Edward Street, improvements at Falkland. That one was approved in 2019, 21, and 22, with the largest piece being in 2022. The Dundas Street West and Chapel Street, which was actually three separate capital projects for the same area for water mains, storm sewers, and road reconstruction. Those were all approved in 2022. And I forgot to write down the year for Race Street. So I'd have to get back to you on that one. The Zone 3 elevated water tank in Paris was 2022. Burford Administration Office exterior and roof, 2023. Kaysville Community Center rebuild, 2022.
Thank you, Heather. Simple question, why a 20-year term this year? Typically we do 25, I think.
So we often use, we'll use 25 when we're doing an analysis, a forecast for a proposed project. We'll use 20 or 25, which is because we don't know what assets are necessarily going to be involved in a large project, so we don't know for sure the useful life of each component of the project. So that is when we'll use 25, sometimes 20. However, in our actual debenture issues, 2023 was the first time that we did a 25-year debenture. So the 2019 debenture issue was only 20 years. The 2017 debenture issue was actually split between two debentures, one for 20 years and one for 10 years. Again, based on the useful life of the assets within those groups. And then 2014's debenture issue was 20 years. So 25 is not the typical debenture issue that we do. But given the size and useful life of the assets, sometimes we will use those because the useful life of roads, water, wastewater are 25 years long or longer in most cases.
Thank you. Final question. The debt level that we're carrying now, how does this affect it? Are we still below our 15% self-imposed threshold?
Through the chair. Yes, we are. So the current annual repayment limit that we're at, which includes all currently issued debentures, as well as all approved long-term debt that has not yet been issued, which includes the projects in this report. The ARL is 13.16%. So we are still below the self-imposed 15% and well below the province's 25%.
Thank you, Heather.
Thank you, Councillor Bell, for the deep dive into this one. Councillor Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through to Heather. Heather, the debenture interest is almost $15 million, and so much, that's just so dependent on the interest rate, 4.67%. If we say even got that down to 4%, we'd save $2 million in interest payments. So I have to ask, is the Infrastructure Ontario interest rate of 4.67% over 20 years the best we can do going? Or did you look at maybe doing half over 20 years and half over 25 years? In other words, is there some combination that could have got that interest down a little bit more?
Through the chair to Councillor Miller. The Infrastructure Ontario interest rates are more, I guess I would say the word competitive, more competitive than bank interest rates are for municipalities. And if we were to do a 25-year debenture instead of 20, it would definitely lower the overall interest, or some combination of 25 years, 20 years, or even a combination of 20 years and 10 years. Because the The annual payment, though the annual payment might be a little bit higher, the total interest over the life of the loan would be much less. Which would be an analysis that I would be looking at when it comes time to submit the application, that as we're working on it, that, okay, do we think, you know what, maybe a couple of these projects on the list might be better to be 10-year instead of 20 years.
So you've done that analysis and,
I've done the analysis, I think, 3 different ways.
all right. I just had to ask, like I said, it blows me away how much interest you could save by just a tiny little, so, okay. And I was looking at T-bills and mortgage rates and all that stuff, and they were all significantly higher than 4.67, so, okay, thank you.
And if I may, the other thing I do want to mention is that as our term length goes up, the interest rate goes up. So for example, the 25-year debenture, the rate at the time was 4.84%. So that was another factor in weighing which way to possibly apply for.
Good. Thank you, Heather. Do we have any other questions? Seeing none, let's move on to approve this one, number 7.1.3. Moved by Councillor Bell, seconded by Councillor McAlpine. No questions. All those in favor? Unanimous. Thank you very much. Moving on to 7.1.10. Another. Oh, yeah. Okay, 7.1.5. Go ahead, Councillor Haley.
I don't play pickleball, but I have a very avid pickleball husband. And he is asking me, he said, in the sketch for the Onondaga part, that pickleball is very social. So if you go to the court and somebody's already playing, you don't want to sit around and wait. And he thinks there's room in that court, in that space, to have 2 or 3 pickleball courts. So that's a request because it's very social. So a single pickleball court isn't social enough. So I've never played pickleball, but this is the feedback. So
Great, well,
somebody else somebody else must know pickleball better than me, and maybe they can agree or not agree.
Well, about a year ago, Councillor Haley, there was an attempt by staff to put together a council and staff pickleball evening, and nobody signed up. So that shows you how much pickleball there is amongst our group. I think we'll refer that comment to staff and know that they've heard the request.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other comments or questions related to 7.1.5? Seeing none, do I have someone who, Councillor Coleman moves and Councillor Kyle seconds that we approve that report. No further questions. All those in favor? Unanimously approved. Thank you very much. Now we move on to 7.1.10. Was that a Councillor Bell question?
Yes, for the benefit of people listening and watching, this is in regard of the award of the East Paris Flats reconstruction phase 1. A number of questions. First one is timing. When will this begin? And what impact might it have on the already challenged Paris traffic?
Fair question, a subject that's on everybody's mind. So thank you for that, Councillor Bell. And then we're going to have Mark Maxwell come up to the podium from staff to provide some information on that one.
Through the chair to council. We expect once it's awarded, if it's awarded through council today and then next week, it takes about a month for them to ramp up and get everything lined up and get their locates. So we would expect to see them out there in June, beginning in June. As far as the impact on the rest of Paris, most of the work is off of the main roads. There are a couple crossings on Willow Street, and we'll have to work with our team to try to coordinate those so it's not causing chaos for the rest of the community. But most of the work is off of the main roads on the side streets.
So we'll do our best to try and schedule any work that does impact Willow Street to be done when other work is more complete?
That's right.
Good, thank you. Second question, I noticed that we the statement here. It says, if vendors have not been pre-qualified, the bid will be evaluated in accordance with the following evaluation criteria. So bid price 70%, other criteria 30%. I've been on council 7 years and a bit, and I realised I don't fully understand this. So can you explain to me and use this as an example of how we would come to the conclusion that we have done, that the award should go to the company that you are recommending? How does the 70% and the 30% come together?
Sure, through the chair. A project like this, a construction project like this, is almost always awarded to the low bidder. As long as there's no major red flags, as long as we confirm that they're qualified. So almost all the time it will be awarded to the low bidder unless we have major concerns. In this case, knowing that there were maybe a couple little red flags because of some history and even looking at the bid compared to all the rest of the bidders, we did run through the calculations and applied some scores, and even by applying those scores, the low bidder was still the highest scoring. Maybe we should have included that in the report for clarity, but.
Yeah, I think we'd all benefit from some clarity on this, because the lowest bidder is $400,000 cheaper than the next lowest bidder. What would that bidder have had to do to, or what would the second lowest bidder have had to do to improve sufficiently in the 30% category to overcome that $400,000 difference?
Yeah, that's a difficult one. I think we need to work on our scoring to have perhaps a less subjective scoring and know that answer with a little bit more clarity.
Because I think your comment you made earlier, Mark, that the lowest bidder would likely win anyway. And I'm not sure that dressing it up with 70-30 makes me feel any more comfortable that we're making a considered choice that reflects the skills and track record of the various companies that have tendered for this job. We've been through this before with this particular contractor. I still feel uncomfortable. I know if Councillor Pearce was here, he'd be feeling uncomfortable as well. But I would appreciate if we could get a Friday file that explains and gives this as an example of how the 70-30 rule works. Thank you, Mark.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Bell, and I'm sure you've been heard by staff on your points there. And Mark Maxwell, I heard you say the words avoiding chaos, so we're keeping your phone number handy in August. Thanks very much for that worthwhile discussion. Now we're moving on to 7.1.12. Oh, sorry, let's take care of that last one first. Moved by Councillor Miller, seconded by Councillor Kyle, and no questions on that. All those for approval on that one? Unanimous. Thank you very much. Now we'll move on to 7.1.12. And that was a Councillor Miller question. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a bit of preamble. This is the tender award for the low volume roads. And last month at the administration operations meeting, in other business, we had a couple questions about roads and whatnot. And Greg Demers was kind enough to come up and talk about it. And he said something I thought was the most important statement in that whole meeting. And he said, this program is going to need more money, talking about the roads. And if you driving around everywhere, you can see that the weather has been really hard on the roads, right? Really hard on the roads. So, and I'm glad we had a delegation actually at this meeting, because they were also talking about their road. Now it's another program, but it's still the road. So I think we do, as a council, have to pay maybe a little more attention to it, maybe some more resources perhaps. But on this particular tender, I have a couple questions. One is, in this report, they talk about which roads are going from gravel to hardtop for 2026. Now, unfortunately, concession 5 is not on that road, but for listeners, Wetmore's Road, Kitchen School Road, and Douglas Street, which is a portion of that. So those are the roads being done and resurfacing. They talked about the hamlet of Middleport is included in this tender. First question, Mr. Chair, is how much are we allocating for 2026 in the gravel to hardtop conversion program?
Looks like Mark Eby's coming up to answer your question. Thank you, Mark.
Through the chair to Councillor Miller. This year it's 800,000 or 815,000. It's 815, just confirmed by Heather Bailey. It's been indexed by inflation marginally because we did have the report that came through council and was approved by council as a part of budget in 2023 for the conversion program. And at that point, it was 750,000 for 13 years to convert all of phase one.
Okay, it wasn't $1 million?
No, that was previous at some other point, but we're working off of what was approved in 2023.
Okay, I wanted to ask, because you're asking us to approve taking $200,000 from low volume roads project RDS 323 for the Middle Street rehab project, correct? And my question is, if you're taking $200,000 from that low volume roads project, what's not getting done this year? Because now you're spending 200,000 less.
So through the chair, there's what's been proposed for conversion. Everything that we have included is what is being done. And we've always done what we've intended to do price-wise. We've just been under budget of what we've estimated. So there is some money that's in WIP, like work in progress, that we still have, that we're looking for towards, like, once we have established what what also needs to be done, because we have a lot of requests for other work, to look at what else can we possibly do with some of the excess money that has, because of we've been going through the progress, and that money is just, we've been under budget a few years, so that money is there. And we just have to establish what is the priority that needs to be done.
Okay, so we're not, okay, so in other words, all the money's still there, it's just getting it spent on a low volume road somewhere in one of these programs, is what you're saying. We're not shorting it by 200,000 then?
Correct.
Okay. A low volume road, does that include side streets and neighborhoods and stuff, or is it just, what's a low volume? Like,
So
okay, I know low volume, low traffic, but what is a low volume road?
So for this work, we include all low volume road as anything that would be under 1,000 ADT, which would be a surface treated road.
Okay.
Not a paved road, even though a lot of city streets would have a low volume, they're all asphalt and they're included in a different program.
Okay, I guess at the end of the day, you're not taking money from our gravel to hardtop conversion program.
No, we are not.
Okay. We let you live another day. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Miller and Mark, for the clarification on those issues. I think Councillor Coleman has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and Mark, you're still up there, so can you tell me, and this is not related to these roads that are in for 2026, what is the status of our negotiations with Hamilton Wentworth on getting those boundary roads done down in the lower end of Ward 5? Can you please tell me?
Through the chair, I will let GM Dave respond. So through the chair to Councillor Coleman, Mark and his team has made multiple contacts with the city of Hamilton throughout the winter, the fall. I believe there's 4 or 5 attempts, so I'm now trying to make those attempts. Unfortunately, if the stars align and we can get commitment to the boundary road funding this year, potentially, we might be able to extend a contract and prioritize those. But we're really likely looking at next year. We've had not great success with the city of Hamilton.
Follow up, Councillor Coleman?
Further to that, Mr. Chair, why don't we do like what Holloman did down in the town line? They did it turned around and built the county of Brant, and it's all done, and everybody was happy.
Thank you for those comments, Councilor Coleman. I don't think. Thank you for the criticism. I think you've been heard, and if there are no other questions for staff on this one, I think we'll look for someone to move the approval of this report. That'd be the mayor, seconded by Councilor Miller. All those in favor? Unanimously approved. Thank you very much. Was that all of the, okay, so that concludes the consent items to be taken care of. We are moving right along to 7.2. These are consent items to be received. Are any members of the committee want items separated from the consent agenda? Councilor Bell.
Both.
Pardon?
Three. Oh, first two.
Councilor Bell would like the first two separated. We've got Zach Gable coming up to discuss the Economic Development Year-End Report.
Through the chair, I don't have a formal presentation. The year-end report is something, serves a variety of purposes. It's something we kind of take as a traveling roadshow to our various business associations. But it's also a very helpful document to have when you sit down with, interested businesses that want to invest in the county, and provides a snapshot of activity, some comparators on development charges, tax rates, and also provides a good overview of what the division's been up to over the past year. So happy to answer any questions.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Councilor Bell.
Zach, thank you. Indeed, it is a very good report. I do appreciate it. And I think it's good to have these statistics out there. On page 4 of your report, the population statistics there, I'm going to take these as the gospel because I see so many different versions of what our population is. And I was a little surprised that as of the end of last year, we were just shy of 46,000. If somebody had asked me, I'd have said anywhere between 42 and 44. So I trust these numbers, Zach. So I hope you're right behind these.
Yeah, through the chair, and since we are between census years, whatever we're looking at is going to be some sort of approximation. So there could be a variety of numbers out there, unfortunately, but we've sourced it in this case.
Yeah, no, it's good to see that. The comment I would have, and I think it would be helpful if you could show how our tax assessment is growing, both in all categories, residential, commercial, industrial, and the balance, which is predominantly farmland. And in that respect, on page 118 of the report, you talk about another, sorry, I think it's 118. You talk about an extra $160 million of investment in industrial and commercial this year. Does that go directly onto the tax assessment base, or is there some multiplier that we use?
So to the chair, is that page 9 you're referencing? So that's the building permit activity, the value that gets reported to the building division. How that actually plays out in terms of assessment, we'd have to wait for MPAC to kind of come in and do their thing. So unless someone from finance wants to chime in as well, that reported number doesn't necessarily equate what it turns out to be assessment-wise. We'd have to look to MPAC for that.
Okay, I appreciate it. So, it doesn't have to be answered today, but sometime in the future. On page 6 of your report, you talk about the top industries by the number of jobs. And it's quite interesting to see that manufacturing and construction together are considerably the largest employer. Perhaps a little surprising that agriculture is relatively small, representing probably only, I'm just guessing here, less than 10% of the total employment in the county. Is that a fair assessment?
To the chair, I think that's consistent with numbers we've kind of seen, and there's probably a whole host of reasons for that, be it new technology, farm automation, those types of things that would impact that number.
Does that include, that agriculture line include food processing, or is that tied up in manufacturing?
Through the chair, this is some of the fun you can get into with NAICS codes, but if it was food processing, that would fall under manufacturing.
Okay. And finally, on page 10, the comment that you and I had before the meeting, I sent you my data source. I have a different set of numbers for tax rates for 2025.
Yeah.
And I'm basing them off the numbers we had reported to council last year.
Yeah, through the chair. So, and I think we'll add an asterisk to this just to make sure it's clear. But that includes the education rate. So when you factor in the education rate, we verified those numbers are all correct. I guess we find when we're sitting with a business that's interested in investing, they're less interested in what the breakdown is, but what does that total number look like?
Yep. Thank you, Zach.
Thank you for those details. I'm not seeing any other questions right now, although I did have one of my own and also a comment. Like Councillor Bell, I really appreciated the report. It's always fascinating to see the success of the county and its growth in terms of economic development. One of the benefits of that is the way I understand it, and I think your report alluded to it a little bit, is the more we grow and diversify in terms of employment, general economic development, it ends up reducing the tax burden on the residential taxpayer. Can you just speak to that a little bit? Because not everybody reads every report. I mean residents, not every resident reads every report or tunes into every meeting, but I think that's a message that's worth reinforcing.
Yeah, to the chair, that's, I think, as I understand it, a big part of our mandate is to go out there and help grow the non-residential tax rate. So it kind of smooths everything out. But maybe I'll look to Heather Boyd if she has any comments on that specifically, or.
Sure, yeah, through the chair. So, I mean, obviously, industrial and commercial developments pay a higher tax rate. So on an assessment basis, the value of them pay more taxes than do the residential assessment for assessment.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Again, I just want to reinforce, not only do we like the idea of providing employment opportunities in our county for our residents, but it does help balance out where the money comes from to make the county run. So thank you for that. If there are any other questions, we will ask for a member of committee to move to approve this report. Councillor Kyle, seconded by Councillor Bell. No questions. All those in favor? Unanimously passed. Thank you very much. We'll move on to report 016526, medium to large scale ticketed events on municipal property. Councillor Bell, you asked for that one to be pulled.
I did. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Zach again. I don't agree with your conclusion, but that's no surprise. But I do have a more factual question. What is the capacity at SILAPS on such an event?
Yeah, to the chair. So I guess just to be clear, the intent of this report is really to start a dialogue as we kind of look for approvals in the future if we get events like Drinks Fest or similar events, and just making sure we're trying to weigh out those different needs. But in respect to SILAPS, I could certainly double check what that is. I think it does, what I've heard from our AGCO, you'd be maxing out at 3,000 in the park itself. So that's the number that's top of my head right now, but I could certainly supplement that.
Yeah, I'd appreciate to know, because I think there comes a point in time where noise issues and other issues aside, it reaches capacity. And if this is a growing event, then that makes SILAPS not the right choice. And I would ask that we look harder at how we would adapt Green Lane, which is a much, much larger space. We can, I think, overcome the issues of parking We're pretty good at closing off sections of road. We could do the same for parking on a temporary basis. So I think your discounting of Green Lane, I disagree with, but as you say, this is the start of a conversation, and I'm not holding you to your conclusion.
Yeah, through the chair. Thanks for the comments. And yeah, I think certainly we can keep investigating. I think the biggest issue is Green Lane is just having all the different sports groups there and how it competes with an event. And maybe it's just simply a question of timing events and things like that. But again, the intent here is just to keep the conversation going.
Thank you, Councillor Bell and Zach. I had a question myself that I wanted to ask. Your report analyzes the cost for fees to rent municipal properties for larger events in Hamilton, Norfolk, London, Woodstock, etc. Can you clarify for the committee what a for-profit enterprise would pay to rent SILAPs per day?
To the chair, and what we found is consistent with other municipalities. There isn't a difference between charitable, nonprofit, or for-profit. It's the same value.
And that number is?
Through the chair, the number I have in front of me, and I think this is inclusive of additional staff, is about $1,500 for the Friday, Saturday, the actual day of the event. So $1,500 a day.
Okay, great. Thanks very much. I just appreciate that information in comparison to some of the other details that are available in this report. Councillor Miller.
Mr. Chair, through to Zach, just maybe he can enlighten me. What a municipal significant event is, just to be clear, it can be on public or private property, correct?
Through the chair, I think the intent is it is for public property, and that's the need for council to endorse it or have it delegated, have staff delegation for that special occasion permit through the AGCO.
Okay. Or if it's using, okay, no, I'll give you an example. The fair, Paris Fair, Burford Fair, that doesn't require a seat.
Through the
application.
Through the chair.
But a monster truck rally would?
I guess this is kind of a conversation that we're having in addition to some of the issues, but how do we interact with large event centers on private property, just in an interest of public safety? So for instance, the Paris Fair, we do put through seat. There's a pretty big impact on our roads and things like that. Other events, no, we don't put through seat, and we give them the information to go ahead and manage everything they have to do, whether it's a noise exemption as an example. Does that help?
It confuses me a little bit. Do you have numbers around it, like objective numbers, or is it just it looks like it's going to be a busy event? Or do we say it's 5,000 people or 2,000? You know what I mean? Do we have actual numbers around it?
Through the chair, this is something we've actually discussed. You know, does this event cross this threshold so it has to go through seat? We haven't gone down that road yet, but I think we look at kind of, okay, what triggers the AGCO to kind of step in at that point or things like that. I think knowing an event like the Paris Fair that gets 70,000 people, that one's clearly in that threshold, whereas events that are getting 3,000 to 5,000 really doesn't seem to be the need to put them through seat. Okay. If that helps.
Are you going down that road? Like, have you started? And the reason I'm asking is because I got that inquiry from the Burford Fair Board there, one of the members, because they had to put in, I think, a seat application, or maybe not, or maybe they had to do certain things that were part of that, but maybe not the whole thing. So my question is, and they were wondering too, like, oh, at what point do you need it, or what point you don't need it? Now, you said it's mainly for public property, but obviously when we're using public roads or whatnot, there's that public component to it. So I guess what I'm looking for, Zach, through Mr. Chair, is maybe a little more defining, criteria for this, and so we have answers for people, right? Say, we're going to ask for a seat for this, but we're not going to ask for a seat for that, right?
Yeah.
That's where I'm kind of going with that.
Through the chair, I hear you. What we'd ultimately like to come back with is a special events policy that maybe
Okay.
details that out in the future. Right now, we are working with both fair boards just on, can you give us details without our events? A, B, C, D might apply. You can
Yeah.
go out and do
Okay.
those independently.
Yeah, okay. And I think for groups that are putting these on, I think that would be very, very helpful. So I'll leave it at that, and I trust you got a lot of work ahead of you. Thanks.
Thanks very much, Councillor Miller. If there are no other questions, we'll ask for someone to move this report for approval. And that'll be Councillor Kyle, seconded by Councillor McAlpine. No questions. All those in favor, unanimously passed. Thank you very much. Then we'll move on to the Fire Services Activity Report for March 2026. That one was not pulled, so we will look for someone to move. That'll be the mayor, seconded by Councillor Coleman. No discussion or questions. We thank everyone for putting together that report. All those in favor, unanimously passed. Thank you very much. Moving on to staff reports number 8, 2025 annual performance report related to stormwater management systems. Matt DeHont, and we've got Andrea coming up. Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Much of what we do in stormwater management is really either hidden beneath the ground or tucked away in corners of the community where people aren't aware until it's actually causing a problem. So I wanted to take a few minutes today to provide a visual update to this group on what the stormwater management program looked like over the course of 2025. So the county's stormwater management system consists of $215 million worth of assets, and it plays an important role in drainage, flood control, and environmental protection. In 2022, the province issued the County of Brant our combined linear infrastructure environmental compliance approval, which defines the terms and conditions for the operation of the county's stormwater management system. This was an important time for the County of Brant because prior to 2022, the county was not required to operate and maintain the system. So moving forward, we are working where the operations program is working to meet all the requirements of this approval. 2025 was the second full year of operation under the new ECA requirements. Some of the key programs that were developed over the last year were the Digital Swim Facility Inspection Program, the development of standard operating procedures, and the delineation of 227 sewer sheds within the County of Brant that provides us an understanding of how stormwater is collected and discharged throughout the community. In 2025, we completed the first year of our storm sewer inspection program, which included cameraing and flushing 30 kilometers of storm sewer. From that, and what you can see on the screen here, is we identified 2 cross bores of natural gas lines, which required repairs, which is the photo on the right-hand side. And we also completed 11 spot repairs in the storm sewer system. 17 stormwater outlets were inspected and maintained in 2025, focusing on the Paris downtown core. This was a coordinated effort with IT using their drone technology. Installation of backwater valves on these stormwater outlets in the Paris downtown core will occur in 2026 to assist with flood mitigation. In 2025, the county also completed its first stormwater management pond cleanout. This occurred at the Telferwood Pond in Paris, where we restored the pond to its original design, which included sediment cleanout and an outlet structure repair. Vegetation and maintenance and minor repairs were also completed at 7 other sites throughout the County of Brant. What you see here on the slide is an outlet repair and vegetation maintenance at Black Walnut West in St. George. And here we have an outlet structure repair and maintenance overgrowth removal from the Granville Phase 1 pond, also in Paris. So much like the management of the water and wastewater systems, the operation and maintenance of the stormwater management system is now a requirement of the province. As you can see, staff have made progress over the last 2 years on developing and implementing operational programs to support public safety, environmental protection, and get a better understanding of the state of our stormwater infrastructure. We'll continue to develop and improve on this program, which will include a detailed analysis of how the stormwater program is funded.
Thank you, Andrea, and it is a good education for everyone. I think a lot of residents, as you said at the beginning, are not necessarily thinking about what happens to our stormwater and where it goes, and I think the short answer for most is that our stormwater ends up going to the nearby rivers for each community, and then people hear the reference to swim ponds. And if you're not familiar with the terminology within the industry, that it sounds like a swim pond, and literally you can't swim there. But SWM is storm water management, and I think there are people that just don't necessarily know all these details because it is an unseen infrastructure. So thank you for the education on that. Are there any questions, Councillor Haley?
Sandra, I have a few questions. I wanted to just go through your report, page 174 of our package, about the Phragmites, and I just wondered about, I know I saw the Kingsville lagoons with the Phragmites all sprayed. I just wondered the impact on water when you're spraying the Phragmites. And then I see that you've run out of funding and you're hoping to get some more funding for the Phragmites control.
Through the chair to Councillor Haley. The Phragmites control program was piloted last year. Kingsville Lagoons is part of our wastewater system, so I'm not sure which report we're looking at there.
Yeah, I'm looking at page 174, you mentioned it just meant, and then just a moment, it's on also, it's on another page. It was mentioned twice, but I have seen it. So you're not, okay. But I guess my thing is, even that water gets discharged, and I was just looking at the spraying and whether there's other alternatives. I know it's a ton of work and it's very invasive. So there's another point, page 185, you mentioned about the road salt, and I'm wondering if we have alternatives to the road salt, or is this coming maybe from private places that are using road salt, so then it's coming into the storm water?
Yep, through the chair to Councillor Haley there. When it comes to road salt entering our stormwater management system, it's coming from a variety of places, including private land and also within the right of way. There is a tricky balance to supporting public safety and managing water quality. So we do monitor the water quality in our stormwater management, our wet ponds. But we're also have developed a issue contributing area around our wellheads to help mitigate some of the impacts of salt getting into our groundwater and our surface water features. So it really is kind of a multi-pronged approach in order to try to mitigate some of those impacts of road salt.
Okay. The other thing is, I've never heard the term sewer shed until I read your report. I've never heard that before, sewer shed. That's a new word for me. Page 201, you've got different stormwater ponds, stormwater management ponds that can receive emergency sanitary overflows. And I've been in Edmonton, and I've seen it happen in Edmonton during a big event, you know. So I just, that's concerning, that it can.
Yep. Through the chair, that's common practice when designing a pond. Again, it is an emergency overflow, so the hopes is that it will not happen. There are contingency plans in place, and we do have the ability to close the structure when that pond is receiving that water, so that we will have the time to get out there and manage any of the sanitary flows going into that body in the event of an emergency.
Okay. And where does the sediment go? You clean it up, but where does the sediment go?
Through the chair to Councillor Haley, it stays on site. It stays on site. The sediment, when we're cleaning a pond, we make best efforts to retain that sediment on site, allow it to dewater, and then we can grade it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Are there any other questions for Andrea on this report? Seeing none, looking for a mover, that's Mayor Bailey and Councillor Bell as a seconder for us to receive and approve that report. No questions, all those in favor, unanimously received and approved. Thank you very much. We're going to move on to report 8.2, 2025 annual report on municipal drains. That's Andrea again. Teaches all about drains.
Thank you. With the county of Brant being a rural community, stormwater management really is multifaceted here in the county. Much like we do for our stormwater management system, I wanted to take the time to provide a visual update to you on our municipal drain program. Municipal drains primarily serve our rural areas of the county to remove excess water, prevent flooding, and improve agricultural productivity. In the county, we have approximately 311 kilometers of municipal drains and 40 kilometers of privately managed drains. Prior to 2021, the county's municipal drain program was a reactive program driven by complaints and requests. This is common practice in many communities of Ontario. In 2021, a decision was made to implement a proactive drain maintenance program, and the progress to date is shown on this slide. In 2025, the county maintained 20 kilometers of open drains and completed 6 emergency repairs. I have a few highlights to share from 2025. On the screen here, we have the Shaver Municipal Drain, which had a number of blockages that was creating increased water retention throughout the system and was not operating per design. This was an especially important project because the Shaver Municipal Drain goes through a sensitive wetland and empties into Whiteman's Creek, which is a cold water creek. For this project, there was enhanced planning for species at risk, GRCA permits, and DFO permit approvals required. And as you can see on the right-hand side there, once the drain was maintained, the water receded back to normal levels. Here we have the maintenance project for Branch Creek Municipal Drain. This project restored the drain to its original design and also will provide necessary protection against bank erosion. And this is the Hamilton Lockhart Drain, which was fully accumulated with sediment and vegetation. And as you can see, the maintenance fully restored the channel. This slide illustrates an emergency tile drain repair. The tile was clogged with a root wad, causing severe flooding of approximately 3 acres of agricultural field. Once the blockage was removed and the tile repaired, it took a day and a half to drain the field. Even with all the rain that we've been experiencing over the last few weeks, this field is still fully dry and has been restored to full crop production. This slide right here is a summary of our 10-year proactive drain maintenance program. The blue line is our 10-year maintenance cycle. The red line is kilometers of drain maintained to date. And the green line is our planned drain maintenance. So since 2022, 113 kilometers of open drains have been maintained, leaving approximately 106 kilometers of drains to be completed. We're currently meeting our goals for a 10-year proactive drain maintenance program if we can continue to maintain 20 kilometers of drain per year. Moving on to our capital drain projects. Capital drain projects are initiated by the signing of a drain petition and oftentimes span multiple years. In 2025, we had 15 active capital drain projects. 5 were new drainage works and 10 were improvements to existing drains. Of these 15 projects, 7 are in various stages of the design and public consultation stage, while the remaining 8 projects are partway through the 1-year warranty period. I'd like to highlight a few of the capital drain projects. This one on the screen before us is the Mitchell Drain, which required a number of crossing replacements and culvert sizing increases to accommodate flows in traffic. What you can see on the screen here was that we successfully accomplished that. Oh, can I go back one? Oh, that's okay. That's the final one. No problem. Since 2021, the county's put a lot of effort into developing and implementing the proactive drain maintenance program. This has included ongoing efforts to communicate and educate landowners on the Drainage Act, the process under the Act, and their responsibilities under the Act. Staff have begun to witness a change in the community on how landowners are responding to drain projects, as well as the community's trust and commitment in our team to act on their behalf under the Drainage Act. In order to maintain this trust and commitment and momentum with the program, we'll carefully monitor our annual progress to ensure that sufficient resources are in place to achieve our operational goals.
Thank you very much, Andrea. Do we have any questions for Andrea on this report? Go ahead, Councillor Haley.
I had some people upset in Mount Pleasant Road and Ellis area. They didn't realize that they were on a municipal drain. They were worried about the cost. But I would think when you buy your house, you would learn that, would you not?
Through the chair, I believe it would show up through a title search.
Yeah, okay.
Oh,
And
Shannon's, our drainage superintendent's going to come up and answer that. I'm mistaken.
Thank you, through the chair. It actually is not registered on title. Municipal drains have an implied easement under the Drainage Act. So the Ontario Ministry of Agriculture and Food and the local Drainage Superintendents Association is working with realtors and lawyers to kind of spread the word that any realtor or lawyer that is in working with a property owner to transfer land or purchase land should contact their local municipality to see if there are any municipal drains in the area that that property could be involved in, whether it's a tile loan that's outstanding on the property or any future assessments for municipal drainage.
And I just had one other question. Is it possible for maybe all of us, well, for me, I'd like to know for Ward 5 where the municipal drains are in Ward 5, if that's possible?
Through the chair, we can send you over some information. There are active links both on the county's website, but also through the OMAFA mapping.
Through the chair again. We do have a really great online platform through the county's website that shows all of the municipal drains as well as their watershed boundaries, so you can see if your property is affected by one. But just like Andrea mentioned, the Ontario Ministry of Agriculture and Food also has a mapping tool. It's not fully up to date, so that's kind of the one you use as a jumping off point. Our County of Brant one is fully up to date.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Coleman.
Just a comment, Mr. Chair, and good report, and I commend you on the work you've been doing. Keep it up, and it's great to be proactive on municipal drains.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, and Councillor Chambers.
Yes, just to carry on from Councillor Coleman, councillors that were here prior to the proactive approach will recall seeing many drains in the before category that you showed there. And since the initiative to become a proactive municipality in drainage maintenance, we've seen all kinds of improvement. It just didn't happen. We have some staff members that bore the brunt of some angry farmers, some angry ratepayers that don't like to pay for this, but after it's done, if you've ever had a John Deere 6840 stuck up to its axles in a field that should be drained, they thank you for that. I think Greg Demers may be here. I commend him on being the first in line of the proactive reports, and then Shannon Tweedle, the drainage superintendent, carrying on, and now Andrea, the triad of drainage pioneers and a proactive report should be commended, and I commend them for that. There's another aspect of this that you haven't mentioned that has been tremendously improved and saves a lot of arguments later on, and that's in the time it takes to react to a municipal drain problem. We were looking at 7 and 8 years before some issues were addressed before the new approach, and that is something now that happens rather than years, maybe months. It's not an inexpensive approach, but over time, it becomes an affordable approach to maintaining municipal drains. The western part of the county, former Burford Township, has over 250 municipal drains, and it's very important. It's flat, and we need the drainage out there for the farmers to get on their land at this time of year. So once again, Greg Demers, Shannon, and Andrea should be commended, and the report speaks for itself. I would like a hard copy of that report provided to myself in the Friday file. Anyone else want one, they can ask, but I would like one. Thank you very much for what you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Chambers. It's always nice to hear compliments to a team of people who worked hard, and hearing the word improvement several times in any statement related to governance is always a good day. So, Councillor Miller.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I was talking to one of our horticultural farmers, and he was saying how in Norfolk this year they are quite behind on the field work, because when you look out your window, if it's not snowing, it's raining super, super hard. So municipal drains aren't just something in a report, they're real things. And in our neck of the woods, we have such a short growing season that an extra week of growing, it could be the difference between an average crop and a good crop, or between a good crop and a great crop. So what you guys are doing makes a difference. And we need to keep up that proactive work. I know, yeah, sometimes it's not easy. And one other person I would think is Rob Walton as well, because he helped push that along. So keep up the good work, and know you're making a difference.
Thank you for that, Councillor Miller. Councillor Kyle.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Through you, just to kind of echo the comments of some of my colleagues, we had the opportunity to have a front row seat to some major drain works last fall. And I think even myself, having a better understanding of what goes into a project like that, was blown away when the trucks were showing up at our farm and dropping off all the cement culverts. And there was just, the entire length of our barn was about 3 levels high. And I guess I have a newfound appreciation for what's in the ground that we don't see. And to echo Councillor Chambers, Councillor Miller, thank you to the staff team for making what could have been a hugely disruptive and awful process actually pretty smooth. And we'll see this spring the benefits that come from the cleaned out drain and all of the new infrastructure that's there now. So thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. If there are no further comments, we'll look for a motion to receive this report. And Councillor Miller, seconded by Councillor Coleman. All those in favor? Unanimous. Thank you very much, Andrea.
Thank you.
Next up, we've got wastewater treatment facilities and collection system annual report. This is going to be Matt DeHaan. Oh, okay. No, you're just here. Sorry, you're just here to answer questions if needed. Thank you. Do we have questions on this particular report? We'll start with Councillor Bell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You can come up now, Matt. It's all right.
Now you can come up.
2 questions, Matt. Interestingly, I noticed that on page 431, 476 of your report, you comment on a drop in the load on both the Paris and the St. George treatment plants relative to 2024. What explains that, and what are the consequences of that?
Through you, Chair, to committee. I'm assuming you're talking about the annual day flows that were coming to it. I think it was, last year was such a drier summer where there is the impacts of infiltration into the system when it's a wetter season, and that's where those flow reductions came from.
Usually a plant sees in the order of 2 to 2.5 times response to a heavy rainfall event to their flows that they'll see going through the plant. So when that's not occurring quite as often, because last year the annual rainfall was right around a little bit shy of 700 millimeters for the year, where typical years were more around 850 to 900.
So you're not seeing a systemic reduction in flow rates into the two water treatment plants that would allow us to defer the construction of the new Paris water treatment expansion?
I think we would want to see a couple more years of data to see if that is a trend, but I would think it would be more that environmental change of last year.
Because if I look at the chart that you had in the that's on Engage Brand, which talks about the three various options going forward, we're well off where you predicted we would be in 2026. We're much lower. So has staff considered that we might delay that very, very large expenditure?
I'd like to defer that question to our general manager.
So through the chair to committee, to bluntly answer your question, no, because the chart is the average daily flows. There's a number of subdivisions, developments, et cetera, that are currently registered that add on to that daily limit. So right now we're on schedule to meet the timing of when those units become occupied. We'll have the capacity there, and then more capacity in the future to serve future development after that.
Yeah. Last year we were probably only 80% of what you forecast we would be back in whenever we did this 2025. So if that's a continuing trend, if development is slowing down, as it appears to be slowing down, can we take that opportunity to push back the very, very large expenditure, single largest expenditure we have in our capital forecast?
So through the chair to Councillor Bell, where we're trending right now, Mark Maxwell just upped this in earlier this month, is we're going to be at around 5,500 average daily flow cubic meter per day by 2030, with the upgrades occurring, 2030 to 2032. So that's getting pretty close to our 85% capacity, which is where, you're required to do improvements. Certainly we could take a look at it, but at this point, the recommendation is to proceed with the timeline as intended.
So maybe my, through the chair, maybe my recall is slipping now as I get older, but we had a Paris Master Servicing Plan update, I think it was 2020 or 2019. And at that point in time, the assumption that was that we would need to be starting work on the Paris Water Treatment Plant, by that I mean starting construction in 2026. So clearly that's not going to happen. No. We're some years away, I think, from the beginning of construction. I'm going to guess 2028, 2029 at the earliest. So there has been a slippage, and it just looks like, just taking the chart from Engage Brand, that we're slipping even further. So I just ask that staff consider that, because it has such a big impact on our financial forecasting going forward, that we shouldn't miss the opportunity.
Thank you, Councillor Bell, and I think you've been well heard this morning.
If I have one more question, if I may, Mr. Chair. On Cainesville, on page 406, you show that the capacity was exceeded massively, I think 270% of the rated capacity, and you go on to say there is no available capacity to support growth in Cainesville. So what is the schedule for providing that extra capacity?
So through you, Chair, to committee. So that was the peak day flow that we saw in there. That was in the 200+%. That lagoon is discharged seasonally. So there's a 2-month period in the spring and a 2-month period in the fall that lagoon's discharged to Fairchild Creek. That lagoon has a capacity for, during the discharge windows, for that 250 cubic meters per day. And that's what our ministry approval is based on, that per day
being less than 250. So we stayed within compliance because our average day, I believe, was in around 235. But with regards to future capacity, and I believe it's been brought forward to council through budget decisions too, there is the new sanitary pump station, the whole wastewater servicing strategy for Canesville that's underway. They did the municipal class EA that completed a couple of years ago. This year, my understanding is the pump station is going to design with the timeline to start construction next year.
So we're going to provide capacity in time to meet the requirements of growth.
Correct, yes. Really, right now, we haven't been allowing new connections to that system for almost a decade, where this will allow us to be able to expand that, and also with the additional employment lands out there to be able to service that with the wastewater servicing strategy.
It's important because we've had a number of proposals in the Planning Council for expanding activities in and around that area. So good timing. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks. Before I go on to Councillor Haley, I wanted to piggyback on Councillor Bell's first point related to the capacity of the wastewater treatment facility in Paris. And I just wanted to pass on through to staff that I believe there's a misconception amongst the public in Paris specifically that, you know, we are building a lot of houses, maybe not as fast as we feared, but there's still a lot of houses being added to the municipality. And there's I believe a public perception that we must be hitting tilt on the capacity of both water and wastewater, but particularly wastewater. And anything we can do in our communication programs to help update the general public on how steps that have been taken to improve that entire subject and how the capacity goes, and maybe future steps towards, you know, when would we be expecting to take those next steps that Councillor Bell mentioned, because the average person's not going to read 200 pages. They are going to just look for a headline. So just 2 cents on that. Over to Councillor Haley.
Thank you. Through you. Yeah, if you stay with Canesville Lagoons, page 407 and 410, you talk about discharging downstream. Last April, 30,155 cubic meters. Last October, 27,722 cubic meters. Do we notify the neighbors downstream when we're doing this? Do we notify Six Nations?
There's no, through you, Chair, to committee, sorry. There is no notification requirement with our approval to do that. That has been the practice for that lagoon since it was installed back in the late 70s. And that flow rate in the spring, our period of discharge is from March 15th till April 30th. There is a provision that we can run into May, but there is additional sampling that we have to are required to do within the creek if we go past the April 30th. And then in the fall, our discharge is October 15th to December 15th, so a 2-year period. So we do maintain our flow. It's not like we're dumping the whole pond within a week or so. So there is the thought behind that is through the assimilated capacity study that was done about a decade ago, looking at it, is that the flow rates within the creek are substantial at that time, and you do get the proper disbursement of that discharge treated wastewater.
So my concern is that you have a number of industries there, and are we measuring for the heavy metals or contaminants, or you have a term here, I'm asking if you're measuring for all of your sites, BTEX, which is benzene, ethylbenzene, toluene, xylene. Are we measuring, it's an industrial area, are we measuring for that in the lagoons? I don't see it.
Through you, Chair, to committee, at this time we are measuring what's required under the ministry approval, which doesn't include those parameters.
But if it's an industrial area, wouldn't the ministry think about BTX, the measuring those? I saw everything that you measured. I just didn't see, we have industry in Canesville, and I'm not seeing those measurements. I'm not seeing them at the airport. I'm not seeing them anywhere.
Again, with regards to our ministry approval, we follow what the ministry is dictating to us to sample.
Okay, I just have a few more questions if you don't mind. Okay, so if I come to the airport, and if we look at the Hamilton Airport, it has contaminated its water. It's a big problem in Binbrook. The ministry's trying to get it cleaned up, or maybe it's now federal. Airports are federal, or maybe but it's the PFOS and the PFAS. These are forever chemicals, fluoride-based. And so I'm just wondering, I don't see, are we measuring that for our airport? I don't see it. And why it's such a big issue for Hamilton, it's related to de-icing. And so I'm just wondering, well, we de-ice planes, are we not looking for these forever chemicals?
Through the chair, thank you for the question. We are in conversation with both the health unit and the province about the PFAS chemicals. There was a Friday file and some information that was shared with committee that I can share with you also. Currently, PFAS is an unregulated compound, so the province does not mandate sampling or treatment for it. The reason why at this point is because they're unaware of all the compounds and how to properly treat them. So it is a topic of conversation in primarily drinking water, groundwater resourcing and water treatment, and it is an ongoing conversation.
Okay, thank you. I have one final question. Just a moment here, I could just find my notes. The report says that, I think this is page 375, we produced 1,134,000 kilograms of sludge, and this was put on farmland. And I just wanted to give an update from, because you're finding PFAS in sludge, and these, you've got states now banning sludge on farmland. 3M had to pay $10.3 billion as a settlement because they contaminated the water. It's now, sludge on farmland is now banned in Maine, Connecticut, and New York, Texas, and Oklahoma are looking at legislation to ban and restrict land application of sludge on farmland. So I just wanted to give that as an update, and that's a concern of mine.
Thanks for sharing your concerns. Ella, you've been heard today. Councillor, I'm going to go Councillor Coleman first. He was up.
Just a comment, Mr. Chair. So what you're telling us, staff, is that we are completely within our limits of what we're discharging into Fairchild's Creek, and we're completely within our limits of putting sludge on agricultural land, because that is all tested and all regulated by the government.
Was that a comment or a question? That was a comment. Okay, thank you. We're going to go to Councillor Miller, who is next.
Just a question. The servicing of Canesville took, well, it seemed like a long time. Do we know if that was for technical reasons or?
Through you, Chair, are you talking about completing the municipal class assessment to get where we are now?
The city extending services. Do we know if that was a technical?
I would have to defer that to our infrastructure group who are having those discussions with the city.
Like, I know things can take a while, but.
I think the CAO has a response to your question, Councillor Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chair to committee. So staff have been working on the design, which had to be done prior to an agreement. That agreement is now sitting with the city, and we're eagerly waiting their response on it.
Thank you for that, Allison. Do you have any further questions on that specific
point?
We'll
be okay for today. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll go back to Councillor Haley.
We're not measuring, so what I hear from Andrea is we're not measuring the forever chemicals right now. And I believe Andrea said that they're in the process of trying to figure that out. 3M was within the law of basically having discharge in the US where it was operating until they found all the cancer links. And so then there were lawsuits, and it was a huge, huge settlement. So there's a good little book that anybody can read, and it's Toxic Sludge is Good for Me. If you want, I can give you the reference.
Thanks for the details, Councillor Haley. Seeing no further questions, I'm going to ask for someone to move to receive this report as information. Councillor Kyle, seconded by Councillor Bell. All those in favor? Unanimous. Thank you very much. We're going to move on to 8.4, the Whiting Bridge Repair Funding Allocation. Are there questions to this report? There are questions to this report. Who from staff are going to be coming up? Looks like Joe Murphy, right? Looks like Joe Murphy's coming up. Thank you, Joe. Go ahead, Councillor Kyle.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Through you to staff. I'm just curious, more out of curiosity. The damage to the expansion joint, is that something we're seeing frequently with some of our bridge inventory, or is this kind of an isolated issue?
This would have been isolated. Yep.
Thank you. Are there further questions? Okay, Councillor Coleman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you to staff. I didn't see the timelines on this. How long is this going to be down?
So we're currently obtaining bids from contractors. We have let it as full closure or a staged work. Full closure is estimated to be about 4 weeks to do the replacement. Obviously, the staged closure will be probably at least a couple weeks longer.
Follow-up question, Councillor Coleman.
So in thinking, if it was a full closure, we could get it done much quicker, but the full closure can't happen until after 1st of July because that's a major route for the school buses.
Through the chair, yeah, there was no intent to start before the 1st of July, and we wouldn't do a full closure during or after September Labor Day weekend, just due to the school on the road.
So does that mean we're going to start the 1st of July and have it done by the 1st of August in 4 weeks? Intention?
We don't have bids in yet, so we don't know the contractor's intended schedule.
Sounds like once again we are at the mercy of a very limited construction season. But thank you for the information. Councillor Miller, and then we'll go to Councillor Haley.
Just a quick question on the damage. You didn't really allude to it, so I won't delve into it, but is there any insurance money that we can get out of this for that damage?
Not that I'm aware of. We can look into it, but I don't think that's something that is available to us.
Okay, I thought we might have a new source of funding for bridge repairs, but that's not going to be it, so thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Haley?
Thank you, through you. I didn't quite understand, it's $170,000 for the road closure, so I didn't understand that cost.
So the cost of the repair with the road closure would be cheaper than with the stage construction, just because the additional traffic control that's required and the duration to do the work.
Okay, thank you very much. If there are no further questions to this report, I'm going to ask the clerk to read the resolution, and then when he's finished reading the resolution, we'll look for someone to move and second its approval.
Through the chair, the staff recommendation is whereas one of the expansion joints of the Whiting Bridge has been damaged and requires replacement within the 2026 construction season, and whereas required expansion joint replacement at the Whiting Bridge was unforeseen prior to approval of the 2026 capital budget, and whereas the Weir Bridge project BRD 084 and the Petty Bridge project BRD 074 both have been awarded and have surplus funding, that $181,000 in capital levy funding be reallocated from the Weir Bridge project to a new project for expansion joint replacement at the Whiting Bridge, and that $74,000 in capital levy funding be reallocated from the Petty Bridge project to a new project for expansion joint replacement at the Whiting Bridge.
Thank you, Spencer. And we'll look for who's going to move this as the mayor, seconded by Councillor Haley. Are there any further questions before we vote on this? Seeing none, all those in favor? It's unanimously approved. We're going to move on to 8.5, the Victor Boulevard proposed temporary parking restrictions. Are there any questions to this report? Councillor Kyle has a question. I'll ask Greg Demers is going to come up, provide answers. Thank you, Greg.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Through you to staff, to Greg. Just wondering what kind of communication you have planned for the residents in that area, just to make sure that they're aware that there's going to be some temporary changes during that construction.
Through the chair, well, if passed today, we'll do a mail out to just the properties bordering the entrance.
Okay.
We'll hand deliver those, by the way, so that they have them in their door.
Thank you. Any other questions specific to that? I'm not going to ask the clerk to read the whole thing because it's long and it's been a long morning already. So we will look for someone to move this report. Mayor Bailey, seconded by Councillor Kyle. All those in favor? Unanimously approved. Thank you very much. Next up, 8.6, Highway 2, Oxford 2. Questions for Greg while he's up there? No, I see none. Okay, who's going to move this report? Councillor Haley, seconded by Councillor Coleman. All those in favor? Unanimously approved. Thank you very much. Moving on to 8.7, council appointment to the Biggers Lane Landfill Liaison Committee. Councillor Miller.
I'll move that Councillor Haley be appointed.
Okay, do we have a, first of all, Councillor Haley, do you accept that nomination? Thank you very much. Is there a seconder to that nomination? Councillor Coleman, seeing no questions, all those in favor? Done, thank you. 8.8, alternative forms of voting bylaw. Are there questions to this report? I see Councillor Chambers does have a question, so we'll ask staff to come up to be, no?
Just clarification, Mr. Chairman, and that's with regard to what actually happens on election day. If I understand it correctly, there will be polls available for people to vote online. It's not, it's kind of, the perception is that you can't vote except at home on the computer, but that's not correct. I just want that explained for the record so that people understand that when election day comes, you can still drive to the poll number 4 and vote, but you're not going to make an X, you're going to make a...
I appreciate that question, Councillor Chambers, and because I've had similar questions addressed to me, and I personally wasn't clear on it. So we will ask Sunaina to walk us through exactly what things will look like on voting day in the County of Brandon.
Through your worship to the councillor's question, that's right. So we will have in-person voter assistance location on election day and during the entire advanced poll period. So each ward will have at least 2 voter assistance locations where people can come and receive assistance from county staff. We'll have the library set up also. The point is that everybody will have a place to go cast a vote somewhere during the whole election period. And they can also continue to vote online, call in by telephone. The reason we threw in telephone voting in this in the bylaw was because it was an additional service that our vendor provided at no additional cost. So we just threw that in as an additional feature for the electors, and they seem to like it, so, yeah.
Thank you for that clarification. We have a follow-up from Councillor.
And just a couple other questions of clarifications to be explained. And the poll locations and number, that's all going to be determined later after the bylaws passed. Is that correct?
Through the chair to the to Councillor Chambers, yes. So we have staff currently working on locking down those locations. We're doing it now so that they don't get booked up for other things. More to come on that shortly.
And the other question of clarification with regard to scrutineers, how does that work? It used to be in the old days, you could have people there and they could see who voted and who didn't vote. And that, how is that portrayed or conveyed, or how does that work?
Through the chair, so the same process, we'll have a scrutineer's guide available online for the election that they would use. They can be there at the polls to witness the whole process. The whole process is so quick, it's about 30 seconds per elector, so they can be there to observe it. And even at the end of the night, when all the results are being released, they can be there.
So again, going back to the way it used to be, you could have, if a candidate could have a scrutineer there who would be able to look at the voters list to see who voted so they could muster their support. That isn't going to happen under this new system. Is that correct? Because people will not know who voted until after. I don't know, when will people know who voted and who didn't?
Through the chair, so with an online election, what we did this year was that candidates were able to get a soft copy of the list of electors through the vendor's online portal. So that shows them when someone has voted. It doesn't show how you voted, it just says that this person has voted. And that's all. We've shown a lot of the people that came in to vote in person that this is the only information we see on the back end, because some of them are concerned that the candidates might know how they voted, but we don't have that information.
So that is done again through the electronically. The scrutineers have the opportunity to see who voted, obviously not how they voted, but who voted, is what you're telling me. So
Yes.
that isn't gone away.
No, so if I was there, if I was an election worker working there, I can show from the management portal on the other end, I can see that too, so I would just show them the screen to show, there's a little check mark to show that these people have voted versus these people have not voted.
The other question, the final question I have is, how do recounts work under this system?
I think Heather Boyd wants to take that.
As you're thinking about that, I can recall a case where in Ward 4, way back when, a candidate was declared the victory on election night, a recount, they tied, and they pulled a name out of the hat, and the other guy won. So how, if in the event of recounts, how does that work with electronic voting?
Through the chair, so under the Municipal Elections Act, recounts are done in the same manner as the voting was. So they would just run the algorithm again. If a candidate wanted to fight that, you can take that to court, and then they pull deeper into the backlogs and information contained on the site. But the initial under the act is just run on the exact same basis as the initial election.
So will be no such thing as a destroyed ballot then, unless the guy votes twice, or can they vote twice and disqualify themselves, or?
Well, you physically can't pick two different candidates. Like you push on it, like if you put up too many mayors, it's gonna remove one and put the other, and then it says at the end to confirm. But if you choose not to vote for anybody, it'll say, are you sure this is how you want to vote? And then, so there shouldn't be the same situation where someone's accidentally or drawn a mark that wasn't quite in the circle or between two circles. It shouldn't be that same issue, but yeah, there will be no way to physically look at all the ballots as part of our recount.
I was kind of hoping I could vote for 3 mayors because there's so many running.
Thank you. Over to you, Councillor Haley.
We compared, my husband did the online voting, I did the telephone voting. It was really easy. And then when you have the list to see whether or not they, I can check and see, did Robert Chambers get out and vote for me? And I can see that, no, you haven't left the house yet. And then I can tell a half hour later, yeah, you've voted. It was really handy because I can call you up and say, get out there. Yeah, that's right. The one thing, there were some people that, yeah, I know. There were some people that were reluctant about the system, and I found some older people might need a ride or that. They wanted to vote, but they may also need a ride. So, but it worked well. Yeah.
Happy to hear that. Seeing no further questions, can we have someone, Councillor Chambers is going to move, and we'll have a seconder, Councillor Kyle, to receive this report as information. All those in favor? Unanimously passed. Thank you very much. Moving on to committee reports and minutes, the Brent Heritage Committee minutes of April 2nd. Can we have someone move this to be received as information? Councillor McAlpine, seconded by Councillor Kyle. All those in favor? Unanimously passed. Thank you very much. No communications at this time. I recall Councillor Coleman had something in other business.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, gravel to hard surface roads just seems to have been a fairly talked about subject here this morning. And I'm just going to mention two roads that were both gravel to hard surface roads changed back before the turn of the century, and I mean before 2000. So they are over 40 years and nothing's been done to them on maintenance. And I'm referring to Brant Church Road and Oxbow Road. If they're not going to be maintained as hard surface roads, we got a problem because they've got craters. They don't have potholes, they've got craters. And hitting a hard surface crater is a hell of a lot worse than hitting a pothole on a gravel road. And I've brought this up to the infrastructure group before. This needs to be dealt with sooner than later. And the residents are getting tired of it. And I understand where the residents are coming from today. We're not putting enough money into this problem. And it's, you gotta maintain them. They only have a lifespan of so long or they go to crap. And that's, so I know Councillor Chambers brought up a couple months ago about roads in Scotland. This is the same thing, and this is why I'm bringing it forth, because I'm not getting any response by bringing it to staff.
Thank you, Councillor Coleman. I think you've been heard loud and clear this morning by staff, and I think we can anticipate some robust conversations at the next budget about this topic. So thank you for that. I see no other business. We are going to move in. Mayor Bailey.
Taking you in camera.
Mayor Bailey is taking us in camera. Thank you very much. We will.
Secretary.
Okay, thank you. We're back in open session. If there's nothing further to add, I'll look for someone to move that we conclude this meeting. Thank you, Councillor Haley, Councillor Coleman. We'll see you